Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. I just figured, you know what? We'll stick with the affirmators. Tomorrow, I have something for Self-Care Wednesday. But today, you know what? That's funny. I kept looking over here, and I kept trying to figure out why. But I think today calls for a Dragon Oracle card before we get going. All right, nothing like a good message in the morning, right? So, yeah, please hang in there because the affirmators are actually really, really good. I know this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but hey, you never know, right? It doesn't matter how the message is delivered as long as it's delivered. So, I don't know why I just felt like pulling this today. And then we'll get right to the affirmator deck. And I'm curious to see what today's about because yesterday it was like, wow, look at that. They kind of went together. Come on. What does someone need to hear? That one's sticking out. The fire bearer. Interesting. So let's see. The fire bearer. That's really pretty. It's wearing a stole. I think it's wearing a stole. Well, it looks like it is. Naughty. It better be a fake one. Happy Tuesday, Muddy. Hybrid Muddy. I know, I'm still trying to get used to that, but Muddy is a hard habit to break. So anyways, fire is your friend right now. No, it's not. When you live in California, fire is not your friend. Okay, so metaphorical fire is your friend. Whether you need a spark of inspiration, a flame of determination, the blazes of anger, or the fire of transformation, this moment is about what needs to burn. Do not be afraid to let yourself embody your own passion. Let yourself be ignited. Heat is necessary for alchemy, and now is the time for you to let the fire have its way with you and your present circumstance. Change is on the horizon, and any dragon knows fire is the companion of change. Yes, fire is the companion of change. Like I said, when you live in California, that's a catch-22 with that one. But good morning, Cousin Jeannie. Good morning, older sibling. Today marks 23 years since Mom Barbara passed. So, you know, jazz musician. Here's a fun, I was telling sibling, it's like, I need to find a way to honor your mom today because I loved her so much. I did. She was like a second mom. But before we get to the affirmators, I'm going to share a quick story. So there are two jazz musicians. One was a singer and one was a piano player. And both of them were named Barbara McNair. One was McNair and the other Macnair. And they met in the most normal yet magical way. Okay. Turns out they were neighbors. I know. How you get two Barbara McNairs on the same street? Don't know. But yeah, they always used to get each other's mail. And that's how they met. That's how they met. So, there's, I never tell this story right, but I'm going to give, so yeah, and just so you know, you cannot confuse the two because Barbara McNair, McNair, is an African-American woman, and Barbara McNair, Macnair, is Laura's mom. So, and no, Laura's not adopted, so she's white. But yeah, and it's funny too, right? Because both of Laura's parents had dark hair and she had like blonde. So that recessive gene kicking in there. But yeah, there was another funny story at Guitar Center. And I never tell this right, but basically this guy comes in and, you know, I'm just going to give you the short version. Okay. And then we're going to get into the affirmators. So basically this guy comes in, sees her fiddling around on an electric piano. Sibling, correct me if any part of this is wrong. And just like, oh, I love your music, you know, I'm a fan of yours, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, I'm in a band too. And, you know, this is like, well, yeah. So he's like, I'm in a band too. And she's like, oh, that's great. And so, you know, I think if I remember correctly, he asked her to play this one note again or whatever it was, because Mom Barbara was trained classically. And then she moved into jazz. So, you know, it was just, yeah, she was magical. I mean, she was magical when she played. Well, she was magical anyways, but when she played, wow. It was fun to watch her. But anyway, so, long story short, she tells us, he's like, okay, well, I have to go. And she's like, oh, well, good luck with your band. So she goes to I can't remember, she went to the front or the guy came to her and he's like, do you know who that is? And she's like, oh yeah, he's some young man with a band. He's like, that's John Bon Jovi. And when they told me this story, I was like, you met Bon Jovi? You met John Bon Jovi. And she's like, oh, you know who he is? Yes, ma'am, I know who he is. But she's telling me this story, like, like looking at Laura, like, she's not going to know who this is. Like, yeah, I do know. It's like very pivotal part of my junior high and high school experience. But, yeah. So anyways, Mom Barbara, happy heavenly birthday. So, oh God, that was so funny. Anyways, all right, affirmators deck, wholeness. So Sammy, what a fantastic story. Sammy, one of these days, you, Laura, and I have got to get on the phone, and she can tell you the whole story. I mean, you kind of heard the abridged version, but it was funny because it sounds like this meeting between the two went on for a while, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, good luck with. I love that though, the way Mom Barbara said it. Good luck with your band. Yeah, he didn't have a problem with that. So, anyways, wholeness. Oh my God. This card is so cute. She's so cute. Look at her. Wholeness. It does not look like an adorable cupcake. Look at, I don't know if it's, sorry, I think it might be kind of blurry. But, she's adorable. So anyways, I am complete, whole, and filled with love. I have everything I need. If I ask or look for more, I'm ignoring the love and gifts that are already in my life. Instead, I'll be grateful and acknowledge that anything else would be extra icing on life's cake. And there's an asterisk next to icing. FYI, to whoever is listening, extra icing is totally welcome as it's obviously the most delicious part. I agree. Whenever people have birthday cakes, I'm just like, can I have the part? Like, I like the corners, not because it's the corner, but because it has the most frosting. Once you get to the cake, it's kind of like, okay. But yeah, the frosting is the best. Sibling says she came home and asked us if we ever heard of him and fumbled with his name. Oh, Mom. No, I thought that was when I thought that's when Bill mentioned Luke Robitaille to her. Robitilli. That was funny too. Yeah, Mom was good at butchering names, which is ironic because my mom was too. She could, like, we had a whole 15-minute conversation of what's that one guy, from that movie, and she couldn't think of his name, but she thought of his character, but she didn't really think of his character. She just kept referring to him as Rainbow Man. So then I texted my friend Sean, who, asking him if he knew, and it turns out it was a movie he actually worked on. So it's kind of like, okay, well, at least we got our answer. So anyways, it's just, oh, it was both. Okay. Yeah. Good old mom. I mean, and she tried so hard, but I mean, really, how do you mess up John Bon Jovi? I mean, it's literally like, what, 10 letters? But no, I'm sorry. Yeah, here's one last story. This is why I don't want to mess with Mom. Her nephew did not believe in the afterlife. So he says, oh yeah, well, if you can really do something, then, basically he was testing her. And as he said, that lightning hit his house. So either very good timing or Mom Barbara has already made connections up above. So, all right. It's how you choose to believe. I believe that there is another side. I like to believe that there is another side. I feel like it because basically my home, not this one, my actual home, is kind of like a revolving door of spirituality. Roam in the hallways. So, yeah, you just get used to it after a while. But it is kind of comforting too to know that our loved ones are around watching it, and our pets. So, oh, sibling said when the guy told her his name, she said, "That's nice." Freaking Mom. Seriously. Anyway, so wholeness. I am complete. Okay, so I like this one because I like that with Sammy. Yeah, who cares about the cake? Seriously. I will tell you this, buttercream frosting with marble cake is amazing. I'm a chocolate girl through and through, even chocolate cake, but I have discovered that that delightful because it's not overwhelming. You know, you can enjoy the frosting and the cake without feeling like you're going to die. So anyways, all right, back to the card. Whew. I am complete, whole, and filled with love. I have everything I need. If I ask or look for more, I'm ignoring the love and gifts that all are already in my life. Instead, I'll be grateful and acknowledge that anything else would be extra, and that's italicized, icing on life's cake. So this is really about gratitude and about feeling whole. Whenever, you know, there's nothing wrong with, oh, let's see. Laura said, you don't say what happened to Steve when he asked. No, I did. I said she struck his house with lightning. I mean, that was it, right? She struck his house with lightning. But anyway, sorry. I know you kind of got to keep up here because the texting comes through slowly on the comments. But anyways, this card isn't just about wholeness. It's about gratitude. It's about being one with yourself. It's about being grateful for everything around you. So here's the thing. This is a part I do take exception with. If I ask or look for more, I'm ignoring the love and gifts that are already in my life. It is okay to ask or look for more. But if you're going to do that, be grateful for what you have now. Be grateful for what you have in your bank account. Be grateful for the car you have outside. Be grateful for the house and the roof over, or, you know, the roof over your head. Be grateful for, you know, the water, the clean water you get to drink. You would not be, you know, you'd be surprised at how many people do not have clean water around the world. And that's one of the causes of illness and death. I literally have 2 cups of water and my coffee from yesterday sitting by me. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my Starbucks, which I have to admit is one of the reasons why I ran late, but I ordered it ahead. Okay. I ordered it ahead. I had everything planned out yesterday as timed. It was timed. I can be a little meticulous with my timing until people throw a wrench in it. But yeah, I never leave room for exceptions, and I probably should. But you know what? The way I looked at it yesterday when I was thinking back on it is I said it was probably meant to test my patience because everything was going smoothly. Even with the coffee run, I would have been able to get back in time for the show and, you know, no makeup, but yeah. So, but it's okay. It's okay because I was like, oh yeah, you know, you gotta be effing kidding me right now. Really? Do you not know how to use an ATM? And then I thought about it and I'm like, you just need to calm down. So, and no, do not ever say that to me in real life. The only person that's ever been able to get away with telling me to calm down is older sibling. Legit. Only older sibling. Everybody else, it just kind of annoys me. But anyways, so again, wholeness. When we talk about gratitude, so just even if there might be something out in the world that you want, okay? You can manifest it, you can pray for it. A lot of people feel like you can't pray for things. You can. God is there. God wants you to need him. But he wants you to need him in the right way, right? Be of service to others and, you know, reap your rewards. And, you know, or even manifesting, you know, if you want to manifest something, you can't manifest something when you're desperate for something else, or you can't manifest something if you're desperate for this thing. You have to feel whole. You have to align yourself with the correct energies, with the correct mind process, or thought process, with the correct mindset. Because if you don't, you're just putting out the wrong energy, right? God doesn't want you to come to him in desperation. He wants you to come to him in love and gratitude. Okay, if you believe in another faith with like Buddhists, it's not about, you know, wishing for something. My mom always thought Buddhism was about wishing for things. It's not about wishing for things. It's about being whole. It's about being centered. It's about being one with yourself and manifesting all these beautiful things that are meant for you. You know, I always believed, and I'm sure I'm not right because I don't really know the time periods, but you know, when I was growing up, I was raised Catholic, and so it is ingrained in my body. It is ingrained in my DNA. But I also grew up with an agnostic or / atheist, depending on the day. My father was more of an atheist when I was growing up. Now he's a little more of an agnostic. So I grew up kind of in the middle of 2 thought processes. And so it taught me to question everything, but to also think outside the box. Because, Jesus disappeared, right? For like 18 years. Where did he go? Nobody knows. Was he just being a dude? Was he out there just helping his, adoptive father create things, be a carpenter? What was Jesus doing? I always like to think in my imaginary mind that he was out there meeting all these other prophets like Buddha and Muhammad. And I'm sure the timing does not mix. I don't really know. I don't know. But, in a timeline of things, anything's possible. Because a lot of his teachings are teachings that you will probably find in the Quran. There are teachings that you will find, in the Buddhist writings, and I've never read the Quran. I've never read the Torah. But, I know when people hear Muslim, they automatically think, no, they're radical everybody's. I think the only religion that doesn't have a radical group of people are Buddhists. I mean, their radical thing is probably swearing at somebody, but, they don't kill in the name of Buddha. All right. People have killed in the name of God. People have killed in the name of, Allah, and people have killed each other over both, not realizing they're the same guy. So, or same God, which drives me nuts. And you're probably saying, what does this have to do with wholeness? It has everything to do with wholeness. When we keep our eyes on our own paper and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, we allow ourselves to come into a sense of wholeness. Whatever you need to do to bring you back to your center, to bring you back to your faith, if you have one, if you're, some people are just atheists, other people are agnostic, and other people are just, I believe in God, but I'm a very spiritual person. I have a very full spiritual table. I like to put God at the front just because that's always been my main dude since I was growing up. And so, but other people are like, well, you can't be a polytheist. Yeah, I can. I can be whatever the hell I want to be. Okay? Because that's my choice. And no, I'm not going to hell because of it. Other people might think I am. People have told me that I'm going to hell for that. I like to think I have a very strong relationship with all of them. Probably could be stronger because I don't always pay attention. But I was talking to someone the other day, and they're getting very deeper into their faith again. I'm like, I really got to do that. I got to meditate more and just kind of, focus in on where my beliefs are and to align more with them, not just turn to them every time it's like, oh my God, what is happening? So, but wholeness is about gratitude. No matter where you put your faith, any faith that does not teach hatred, and by the way, I'm talking about offshoots of certain faith. There are extreme religions everywhere. There are beautiful Christians who just love one another, who don't care about your sexual orientation. They don't care about your color. They don't care about this, that, or the other. They just want to celebrate God with you. And then there's other ones who say, no, this is how it should be. And to me, the people that are reading the Bible are the ones who are just open to everybody. They're not interpreting it, for their own hatred. They're interpreting it the way, it was probably intended to be interpreted when written by a bunch of men and women who were removed from the Bible. So, and yes, in original texts, there were several books. I can't remember. Sammy told me there were several books that were actually written by women, and they were removed. So, God did teach about equality. Jesus did teach about equality. He taught about loving one another. He taught about, not judging someone for, what they are or who they are. I don't know what I mean by what, but that's where wholeness comes in. Yeah, I have to wonder, all these people that spend time hitting people with their Bible instead of sharing it with them, if they're really that whole. Did they go home? Are they angry? I mean, we talk about the Bible Belt, right? But I was watching a documentary, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but the guy just kind of did his own research, and he was doing a cross-country road trip, and he wanted to see where the majority of strip bars were. And he said he was shocked to find out that the majority of them were actually in the Bible Belt. And I was just like, what? What is happening there? You know, and there's hypocrisy in every faith. There really is. There's going to be your people who, like I said, I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people who don't try to, force Jesus on me, who, find out that I am a lapsed Catholic or that I'm spiritual or the things that I practice, and they don't try to change me. They ask me about it, they become a little fascinated about it, but they don't try to change me. They're just like, okay, I accept you as you are. Maybe they pray for me in their own time without me knowing. I don't know. But I appreciate that. My cousin Jeannie and I were talking about that because there was that one day I was on my soapbox about Christians, and I was like, no. I said, I don't know if you were able to watch the whole thing, but I kind of circled back because Sammy is one. And older sibling. I can't remember what older sibling was. I think she was baptized a Lutheran, which I told her, I said, we can't be friends anymore. I'm just kidding. But Lutherans and Protestants, they're offshoots of the Catholic religion. I mean, seriously, they are offshoots of the Catholic religion. Martin Luther posted his, I think, 15, no-nos on the door. And, of course, Henry VIII was a little bit more. I love the fact that the Church of England is built on divorce. I don't care what you say, all right? Protestants are built on divorce. He wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, and the Pope said, no, you cannot have a divorce because his first wife was Catholic. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna start my own religion. So, to all the Protestants in the world, you better not be judgy. Actually, nobody should be judgy. I'm just kidding, right? This is all in jest. All right. I know people of all walks of life. So, and I love them all. I love them all because I think diversity adds to the mix. It adds to the wonders. You can learn new things from different people. I love watching how different people worship. When my mom grew up Catholic. She used to walk herself to church as young as 7 or 8 years old. And you're going to ask me what this has to do with wholeness. This is everything to do with wholeness. When she was going to become a Eucharistic minister, she was asked, part of her certification was going to two or three other churches, but 2 of them had to be like of different, like Catholicism, but a different form of Catholicism. So she went to a Russian Orthodox and she went to a Greek Orthodox church. And she was like, it was so amazing. It's so different. Because, my mom kind of grew up around the time where Catholicism was changing. And it was becoming, Latin was giving way to English so everybody could participate and understand. And she, so it was just kind of like, she was just so fascinated and just so enthralled. And if I remember correctly, from time to time, if she didn't want to go to her church, she would go to one of these churches and just worship with them. So, and that was a sense of wholeness. I think it brought her Catholicism full circle for her because she saw how other people worshiped, and of course everybody's just welcoming and whatnot. But when we talk about wholeness, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, just not just accepting everybody, but wholeness is being whole within yourself, that you don't have a problem accepting everybody else. It's being comfortable in your sexuality. So when you're around gay people, you don't feel like someone's going to think you're gay, or you're not going to care. You're not going to care. Or it's being, whole in yourself that, like me, I'm a half-breed and I don't care. I used to when I was growing up. I never felt like I fit in. But I realized my entire life I've been different anyways. I've always been different. I've been the proverbial black sheep in my family, except my family encouraged it. They didn't discourage it. And I'm grateful for that because I was always allowed to be who I wanted to be, even when it kind of worried my parents sometimes. I had the rest of my family backing me up. And it took me a long time to find that wholeness. But once I found that wholeness, I stopped worrying about what other people think. As older sibling always says to me, what other people think about you is none of your business. And you may think it's your business, but it's not, because half the time it's probably not true. Or they're just making something up because they're angry, or maybe they're just jealous at how put together you are. You know, how you've managed to get your shit together. You know, because I think there's some point in everybody's life where, you know, we do fall apart and we do have to get our shit together. And it's not always easy. And again, let's just, you know, kind of skip back to the whole trauma thing, right? If you've had trauma in your life, this is where you need to go. You need to head into the direction of wholeness, because you are literally shattered pieces of a puzzle. And it is up to you to put yourself back together. It is up to you to figure out, what do I need to feel whole? So this card only talks about when you want things, when you need things, you know, to be grateful for what you have, you know, to feel that wholeness in what is surrounding you now. But it is okay to ask for things. It is okay to pray for things. It's, you know, people always say it's not right to pray for money. Okay. In my own meditations, in my own conversations, in my own prayers and, you know, talks with God, I've never, ever gotten the feeling that that was a bad thing. The Bible will tell you it's a bad thing, that money is the root of all evil. Money is only the root of all evil when you worship it. That doesn't mean we don't need it. That doesn't mean we don't need to survive. Everything's a little more expensive right now. But, sorry, that face was a tell. But we do need it. But that doesn't mean we should worship it. That doesn't mean we should focus on it. That doesn't mean that that should become our sole purpose in life, is to just wish for that. Oh, the love of all money. The love of money is the root of all evil. What did I say? I don't know what I said. But anyways, thank you, Sammy. The love of money is the root of all evil. And there's nothing wrong with needing money, right? Right? And the reason I'm saying that is because I know people who sit there and say, you shouldn't pray for that. And there are going to be people who are going to disagree with me. But God knows that you have needs. Whoever you turn your faith to, they know that you have needs. And as long as it's not worshiping it, as long as it's not, you know, like some people who think gold everything is okay. Anyway, I don't want to go in that direction. So anyways, that smug look on my face. Yeah. Whew. If you have needs, you have needs. Okay. But when you become desperate for something, it is probably not going to happen. If you need something and you want something and you want to manifest it in, you want to pray for it in, you want to desire it towards you, you have to let it go. You have to find how to be whole within yourself without these things. And then watch it flow in. Because it's all about appreciating where you're at right now in this moment. It's all about appreciating everything around you at this moment. Case in point, it's been hard not being home. It's been hard not being next to my little fur baby all the time, because I miss her like gangbusters. But I have gone through my own healing process here, almost like put the stamp of approval on, you know, survived, finished, thriving, let's do it. You know, I've had the opportunity to spend time with my cousin, Jeannie. I've had time to put more thought into this show, you know, and not just, you know, I've had time to get my brain together, and when I feel myself spiraling, to understand where the moods are coming from and just kind of like mellow. And I'm not always good at that. The spirals are going to upend me from time to time. But I do feel like since being here, I have achieved a sense of wholeness. I've learned to love who I am. And I'm not sure if I would have done that having been home, because I was in such a set routine. I was in a funk. I was in a bad funk. And I think at that point I was just existing. I wasn't even surviving. I was in that two, right? Surviving to thriving. I was in that middle part, that two part, that little journey where, you know, we're just kind of like, where am I? I'm just kind of falling through space and not sure where I'm at. And I found my wholeness. And now that I've said that, watch my dad get magically better. So you know, I know a lot of people hate this saying, but I really do believe everything happens for a reason. Good things, bad things. It sucks, yeah. But when it is the good things, it can be magical. It can be, you know, just downright freaking magical. And no matter where you turn your faith, that's what they want for you. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Catholic, a Lutheran, a Protestant, whether you're a Buddhist or a Muslim, your higher power, that's what they want for you. They want you to live your best life. They want you to be of service to people. They want you to look at your fellow person and go, hey, you know what? I love you because you're amazing. They don't want you to take their, they don't want you to weaponize words that 9 times out of 10 were probably not meant to mean the things they were meant in the original text. If you read the King James version of the Bible, King James changed a lot of the verbiage to kind of suit what he needed and wanted. And a lot of people are going to say, well, geez, but sometimes it's what you have to do. I guess. My father looks at the Bible as being something to control people, and my mother looked at the Bible as something, as guidance. It was something, that gave her comfort and it gave her joy. Just for reference, my father grew up in a very strict type of religious household. I'm not going to name the religion, but because I don't want to offend anybody that might watch this later. Although, after everything I've said, they probably would not be on by now. But yeah, so that pushed him away. That pushed him away, and he's kind of like, no. But that's a man who has read the Bible from front to back, probably more than once, because of the religion. So, I know I'm pointing just because he's out there in the living room. So, it really is all about wholeness. And, I know we've kind of been all over the page on this particular, perspective. And, like I said at the beginning, get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. But if you can really kind of go and tie it all in together, we talked about Mom Barbara, right? Mom Barbara was a recovering alcoholic, but towards the end of her life, I think she found her wholeness. I think she found her peace. And I think, that when she was ready, she chose the day she was going to go. A lot of people will probably ask me how I know that. Just trust me when I say there was a conversation. I was the last person to see her out of everybody. And it was a very short, minimal conversation, but I saw the twinkle in her eye and what she said to me. And I was just like, oh. But I didn't really understand the gifts I had back then. And older sibling has been helping me with them, but I knew. And it's hard to tell their only child that, she just was ready. It took me years to really tell her that because I couldn't. She was just like, no, but I think she found her wholeness. And I'm not smiling because she passed. I miss her. I wish I had a lot more time with her. She had a lot of health issues going on, but I think she found her wholeness. And I think she's just like, you know what? I'm good. I've done what I need to do. I know my daughter has somebody that will tell her all the things that I told her about how proud she was of her, about how much she loved her, how sometimes, she was very sorry about falling short, during her alcohol times, but how Laura never gave up on her. So, when we find that wholeness in ourselves, it makes it easier for us to turn around and love one another. It helps us turn around and find peace and joy with one another. As Sammy always says, love and let love, right? It always kills me when you hear about all these, extreme religious people that, oh, gays are bad, this, that, and the other. There are literally churches that welcome, that are run by a gay pastor who primarily their main congregation are gay people because they feel like they're so ostracized. There's a church just down the street from my dad's house, and I love it every time. They have a rainbow sign. It says absolutely everybody welcome, or something like that. It just basically says, please come in. If you need a place to worship, you are welcome here. And that's how it should be. I don't think God or anybody else who you might worship wants somebody to be excluded, no matter what the texts say. Remember, I'm going to tell you this right now. The Bible was not written by God. It was written by a man, a bunch of men. Now, they will say it's the word of God, but think of it as like a game of telephone. By the time you get to the third person, how much of the message is still the message and how much of it is yours? I'm not saying the Bible's bad, okay? Because I know people who read the Bible. I know people who, have a very close relationship with God. So I'm not bashing the Bible. In fact, I actually want to sit down one day and just read it cover to cover. But I haven't yet. I do have a Bible at home. I have a couple. But all I'm saying is that it's really something that's open to interpretation. I mean, to me, God isn't fire and brimstone. To me, God is love and rainbows. Do bad things happen to people? Yeah. Is it God's fault? Not necessarily. He gives us free will. Some people get the miracle when they have cancer. Other people don't. And maybe there's a reason. I don't know what the reason is. My father had a very difficult time when my mom died because my mom was a very devout Catholic. And he still blames God. I don't understand how someone like that who devotes her entire life to God just, gets cancer and a horrible, they're all horrible, but a non-curable cancer and then dies. Why would he do that? So he struggles with that. But again, this isn't about religion. This isn't about anything other than your wholeness. If religion helps you, then that's great. If taking walks in nature helps you, that's great. If being spiritual and meditating under a big tree helps you, that's great. Because that's wholeness. That is wholeness. Diving into things that are important to you, refining, even if it's refining a relationship with God or strengthening your relationship with God, that's important because that helps you be whole. That helps you find your wholeness. It feels, wholeness isn't about just going off and, creating rainbows in the sky, right? It's about walking down the street and not feeling this emptiness inside of you. And whatever it takes that is good and healthy. And by that I mean, I'm a recovering emotional eater, so food would fill that hole for me. But why? Because I didn't turn my focus to something that was a little bit more powerful. I didn't like myself for the longest time, and so I filled that hole with all the bad things. If you're struggling with your self-love, if you're struggling with your self-acceptance, but you have a strong tie to something, then connect with it. Connect with it. Oh, Sammy says our pastor's daughter is gay and our music minister is gay. There you go. I found out my drama teacher from high school was gay. I had no idea. Until one day he's like, oh yeah, so-and-so and I are celebrating. I'm like, wait, what? My gaydar must not have been working in high school. Actually, that's not true. But yeah, I could ramble about this all day. But no, I promise you, I am not bashing anybody who reads the Bible. I have nothing but respect for people who are, who dive into this, who strengthen their relationship with their higher powers, with their faith. I love that. I feel like being more of a spiritual person has helped me. And I know a lot of people, like I said, don't appreciate the fact that I do have a full spiritual table. I call them my spiritual board of directors. But yeah, because they direct my life, because I tell you, sometimes I'm a hot mess. But you know what? I don't care. I mean, I joke about it, but that's just me. That's how I am. And that's why that's why I need a lot of people, a lot of beings at my table to kind of just go, nope. It's like an intervention. But yeah, I have nothing but respect for people that do that. I don't like people who weaponize the Bible, just like I don't like people who weaponize their mental health. And I know that might seem judgmental. It probably is, but it's like, you know what? Those are the wrong ways to approach things. Those are people who are not whole. When you weaponize the Bible, there's a fear in you. There is something missing inside of you. There's a hole of sorts. I mean, there's no surprise that whole is in the middle of wholeness, right? And we just added a W. Maybe that W is for the win. When you fill that hole, you become whole. It's not that hard. And eat the cupcake, all right, if you want to. Oh, I'm not going to say anything, but I know somebody watching that can't. No, do your thing. There'll be plenty of time for cupcakes later. But, so yeah, I don't want my message to be mistaken by anybody, because that's not what I'm going for. What I'm going for is the fact that when we are whole in no matter what we believe, we find a way to love one another. We find a way to be there for one another. We don't judge people, again, by their orientations. Am I judging people who weaponize the Bible? 100%. Does it make me right? No, it doesn't. That's just me, though. Because I figure maybe there's just something missing in them. Maybe there's something that happened to them, or maybe they just think they're better than everybody else. I don't know. And I'm not even sure if it's judgment as much as it hurts my heart to know that there are people like that, take this beautiful word of God and weaponize it. Or say you're bad, or do conversion therapy on gay kids. It's like, hello, it's not the devil, it's DNA, all right? Seriously. It just, I don't know. I feel like I get very protective of the people that are just ostracized, by other people who just think they're more they're more righteous than anybody else. They're not. They got a big surprise coming for them when they get to heaven. And no, I'm not kidding. So, it's not a good surprise either. There's going to be like a timeout to think about what you've done. But, wholeness is a beautiful thing. So is the icing on the cake. So anyways, I know this has kind of been all over the place. I know we've kind of went in 9 different directions, and it got a little more biblical than I intended it to. But yeah, I'm all about acceptance and love one another. And as Sammy says, let love and let love. Love and let love. That was it. Love and let love. I'm doing my best to detox from all the negativity in the world this week. So this week is my peace and love week. All right. And I'm hoping it extends even farther, because I need to detox from the negativity of the world right now. But, maybe that's why I got a little soapboxy there. And I didn't mean to. I mean, I love it when my cousin talks to me about her church and stuff, or on occasion she'll share with me like maybe something someone's talked about. And I would love her to do that more. Wink, wink. Because I love to hear about other people's journeys. It's not just about my life. I don't want to just talk about me. I want to hear what other people are doing. But a lot of people figure, oh, well, you're spiritual, so you don't want to hear about God. I love hearing about God. I love hearing about people's journeys with God. I know not everybody believes in God, but when they do, it's like that's something that's important to them, and I like to hear about it. I like to discuss it with them, and and maybe along the way learn something a little bit more. I'm always going to be a Catholic, lapsed Catholic or not. That's ingrained in me. That's been the first 18 years of my life, going to church twice a week, because that's how it was. And I respect it more. I appreciate it more. I found my wholeness in that. And I realized how much my mom's faith got her through life and got her through her own ups and downs. And I'm grateful for that. That was a gift for her. And I think that's all she wanted for me. And so, I'm very proud to be a Catholic, even though I don't practice anymore. But I'm also very, very proud to be a spiritual person, because I have found my own relationship with God and the rest of my spiritual advisors. That's what I should call them, my spiritual advisors. I have formed very tight relationships with my spiritual advisors. and God. So anyways, I'm off my religious soapbox. Sorry about that, guys. But wholeness, don't forget to be whole, okay? If you are asking for something, you are praying for something, you're trying to manifest something, remember to be grateful for everything around you. You know, the TV, the backpack, the goofy picture that my father put up there for me. You know, the desk, the computer, the phone, everything. Be grateful for all of these things. Even the smallest minute thing. Be grateful for, you know, your pens or your pencils, the writing utensils. Because in some parts of the world, these things are luxuries. I mean, I have like 5,000 pens sitting in front of me. Not that many. But, you know, just even a simple pencil is so cherished for people who don't have these luxuries, who don't have immediate access to these things or the money for these things. They lose that one pencil, that could be everything for them. It could be devastating. But we don't think about that because we have it. We have it at the ready. I have like another pencil right over here, right? So, you know, I'm grateful for, you know, and I'm okay. So I'm learning this along with you guys, all right? Because sometimes I forget to be grateful for things. I forget to show my gratitude daily. And I really got to do that again. I really have to do that again, because when you put yourself in a good mindset, you are going to manifest things. It may not be exactly what you want, but it'll be exactly what you need. Whether you're praying for it or manifesting it or just asking for it. Okay? And always show gratitude. If you're going to pray, amen. Thank you, God. If you're going to manifest, thank you, universe, or you don't have to say universe, the universe knows, but thank you. Whether it's a prayer, a manifestation, or you're just asking, always show gratitude. Don't just put it out there and say, well, you owe me. Nobody owes you anything. All right. I've had to learn that the hard way. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe you everything. You owe yourself everything. And it's up to you to make these things happen for yourself. So find that wholeness within, do whatever it takes, whether it's, you know, doing your daily devotionals, whether it's doing your daily prayers, your daily meditations, your daily walks, your daily constitutionals, whatever it is. But stay focused, stay on that track, do what brings you joy. Read a chapter every day in the Bible if you want, or wherever you turn your faith to. Do your, 10-minute meditation. Read a book, read a chapter. Just get out of your head when you're feeling like the whole world is just circling and you're going down the drain. Because that will bring you back. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you ladies for staying on. Cousin Jeannie, older sibling, Muddy. Sorry, I didn't mean to go in that wild direction, but Sammy once told me recently while we were talking, because I said, sometimes I start off and then I end up somewhere else, and she's all, it's a message that needs to be heard by somebody. And so now when I do a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything and it actually comes true quite often, I don't feel bad about it anymore, because it's just like, no, maybe someone needed to hear that. Maybe there's someone out there, who does read their Bible and they get trashed by their friends. If you're the friends, stop it, because this is helping them, okay? You do your thing and let them do their thing. All right? If they're not harming you with their faith, then stop it. And that's likewise for the other people, that the shoe fits on both feet, right? If you're one of those people that thinks, oh, well, like I have 2 people on here right now that go to church every Sunday. And not once did they sit there and try to preach at me. I might ask questions, and I would love to have a discussion. I would love to hear about the journey. But then I have another person who will comment on my posts and go, oh, that's wrong. You see the difference? It's like, this is my opinion. No, you're wrong. It's like, honey, I want you to go to heaven. You got to not think this way. No. We shouldn't base heaven on who you believe in, okay? Because there's some people who believe in God that probably don't deserve to go to heaven. But, it should be judged. I'm pretty sure God judges you on how you are, how you act, how you treat other people. And that's okay. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to save me, but stop. And no, it's not anybody on here. It's not anybody here. I'm not even sure that person. I think they unfollowed me on Facebook because I just, I'm a little too out there for them. But they didn't unfriend me, so that's a good thing. But I get it, I mean, at least you're loved, right? But but it's kind of like, no. So, I value all the people in my life, and I value all of their journeys. And that's all we need to do, is just love the person, love their journey, and let them do what they need to do, to bring them joy and to bring them wholeness. Because that's what this really is all about, right? It's about learning how to be whole. I mean, if you really think about it, from the moment we're born, I'm going to leave you with this thought. From the moment we're born in survival mode, right? It's about learning everything. And wholeness is that middle part right there. Whatever brings you to thriving, then absolutely do it, as long as it's within the legal limits. Okay, as long as it's within the legal limits, then do it. Just be yourself, love yourself, and be whole. All right. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly Marie Lucas. You can also find me on YouTube and across the social media board under the Aloha Perspective or Shelly Marie Lucas. And on Twitter, you can find me under Shellbell's Quest. And peace and love to all of you. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you again for watching. And to my 3 girls, thank you for popping on. I love all of you. Have a great day.